When Ferdinand Magellan reached the Philippines in 1521, he wasn't just sailing for spices, he was chasing legacy. Magellan had crossed oceans no European had survived before. He believed these islands would be another easy victory, another place to claim for Spain. At first, things went smoothly. Local leaders welcomed him, trade flourished. Some even accepted baptism, believing alliance was better than resistance. Magellan took this as submission. Then he heard about a small island called Mactan. Its leader refused to kneel, refused baptism, refused Spain. His name was Lapu-Lapu. Magellan was offended. He believed fear would do the work words could not. At dawn, he marched to Mactan with fewer than 50 men. He underestimated the reef. He underestimated the people. And most of all, he underestimated resolve. The Europeans struggled through shallow water, armor-heavy, guns slow to reload. Lapu-Lapu's warriors waited, barefoot, silent, ready. What followed wasn't a clean battle. It was chaos. Spears struck, arrows flew, and the man who thought he had conquered the world fell face first into the surf. Magellan died there. Not to an empire, not to a king, but to people defending their home. Magellan's death should have been a warning. Instead, it became an inconvenience. European records didn't celebrate Lapu-Lapu. They minimized him. They shifted focus to alliances, conversions, and later victories. Because admitting the truth was dangerous, it meant admitting that colonization didn't begin with dominance. It began with resistance. Lapu-Lapu didn't call himself a hero. He didn't write his own story. But his defiance echoed quietly through centuries. When Spain returned years later with more ships and more weapons, they came prepared. Not because the islands were weak, but because they had already learned they weren't. And that's the part history often skips. The Philippines wasn't discovered, it was challenged. And for one moment, in 1521, it stood firm, and the world blinked. That defiance didn't disappear. It waited, it endured, and it resurfaced every time the islands were told to bow again. Lapu-Lapu didn't leave behind monuments. No empire, no written legacy. But resistance doesn't need ink to survive. When Spain returned years later, it didn't come with curiosity. It came with certainty. More ships, more soldiers, more firepower. And yes, eventually, the islands were colonized. But here's the part that's rarely said out loud. They were never fully conquered. Every generation produced its own version of Mactan. Local revolts flared across the islands. From the mountains, from the coasts, from places Spain could claim on maps but never truly control. The same refusal echoed again and again. Centuries later, when Filipinos began openly questioning empire, they weren't inventing rebellion. They were remembering. Figures like Andres Bonifacio didn't rise from nothing. They rose from a long memory. A memory that said, we have stood before empires once and we can do it again. That's why Lapu-Lapu matters. Not because he killed an explorer, but because he proved something early. That power could be challenged. That obedience was optional. That the islands had a spine. The Philippines didn't inherit resistance from Europe. It carried it long before Europe arrived. And every time history tried to bury that truth, it surfaced again, quiet, persistent, unfinished.